Hell just froze over. The latest owner satisfaction results by Consumer Reports now stating that BMW is preferred over Lexus. What's going on? I want to share the top 10 vehicles and explain to you in my own personal opinion why in fact BMW is ranked number 2 and Lexus number 6. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. Let's start with the worst of this top 10 group and we'll work our way to the number 1. The first, of course, being Tesla. Tesla has an overall ranking report card of 72. Why? Well, it does very well in the road test. Most people are very satisfied the way they drive. And at a score of 81 on the driving aspect, people are excited. The first time you drive an EV, you're very excited by you hit the throttle and it goes. Tesla is one of the quickest vehicles on the market. Whether you love them or you hate them, they're certainly one of those vehicles you just can't ignore the performance you get from an electric vehicle. Now, that being said, there's no sound, there's no passion, there's no soul. So that does leave a little bit desired. We also know that Teslas struggle with some reliability problems. That blended into the ratings, of course, means a lot of people are disappointed with the quality, the fit and finish, paint, panel gaps, water accumulation and frost and fogging in headlights, taillights, and some of the glitches and gremlins, as well as some of the recalls, backup cameras, steering issues, over-the-air updates just means that Teslas do leave a little be desired in terms of overall reliability. You find yourself over at the shop time and time again. In terms of the overall average satisfactory rating, Tesla is ranked number 10 overall because generally people feel pretty good about it. Acura, on the other hand, gets a rating of 80 for the drivability aspect, slightly lower than Tesla. A lot of people get behind the wheel, they like the fancy flashing lights and the technology, and it feels nice. It's quiet, it's isolated from the road, and a lot of Acura products feel very well put together. The MDX is a nice vehicle. The ADX leaves a little to be determined, but the RDX is a flashy, quick little sporty SUV. Even the Integra does light up your fire. You can get a manual gearbox, and a lot of customers just like the way it feels when they're behind the wheel of an Acura, so they do very, very well. Sadly, on the other hand, though, the average reliability definitely takes them down a notch or two. We know what's been going on with Honda. They've had recall upon recall, 1.5 million recalls for Honda, which does include a lot of the Acura products. With the 1.5 turbo oil and fuel dilution problems, the engine issues with the 3.5, there have been some problems with the crank and the bearings, but on top of it, just some programming issues all the way around and lack of polish, if you will, on some of the electronics means that a lot of owners of some of the Acura products are a little disappointed in the overall reliability. The overall satisfaction rating, however, by customers is very much positive, and Acura ranks at a 73 rating based on Consumer Reports' overall customer satisfaction. Now, Hyundai, on the other hand, it has an average reliability. Why? Well, there's been way too many recalls, especially when you're talking about the internal combustion engine. Bad piston rings, rebuilt engines, and a backlog of recalls that have just customers constantly dancing and questioning and filling up their binders with all of these sheets that are coming in as recalls just keep piling up.
Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah. What is a win, though, a lot of times is the driving experience. They take the vehicle out, all the new tech, cross-stitching on the seating, as well as they have lots of lights and a lot of technology. They even feel a lot more innovative than a lot of their competition from Honda and Toyota. So as a result, Hyundai does very, very well, and it does get a rating of 74, putting it next in line. The next manufacturer that lands on this list is Lincoln. Now, Lincoln has a lot of vehicles. The Corsair, a little disappointing, small, subcompact. People wonder, why did I spend the extra dollars? I should have just bought that Ford. But on top of it, some of those EcoBoost engines have been slightly problematic, as well as some of the technology. And let's be honest, Ford, Lincoln, all the same product, definitely the recall kings. And so as a result, the reliability is marginal. With electronics, transmission failures, oil burning, of course, we've heard of bad head gaskets, all kinds of issues, including cam phasers, makes you wonder why people buy them. It's because of the driving experience. And when they take it out for a test drive, they're grossly enthralled by the overall drive. It feels nice, luxurious. I personally like the Aviator. It's a nice mid-size 3-row SUV. It looks great, sounds great, goes wonderful with that beautiful twin-turbo V6, but the reliability is just lacking a little bit, and that's why the overall satisfaction isn't great. Lincoln still manages to scrap together a 75 rating and puts it well on the list of the top 10. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and we're talking about Lexus. Lexus, sadly, we know has always been known for one of those most reliable brands, but unfortunately, they've dropped 3 slots. Well, it's not because they don't look good or they don't have the innovation. They have all of that. Well, Now they dropped one of their most reliable models, which was the ES. Sadly, that went away, and that hurt them. That hurt them because now they're offset by a vehicle that has a lot of issues potentially, and it makes the big recall list, the GX550 with that new 3.4 liter V6. They call it the V35A. You're finding the same thing as well as the LX600. So they've got two major SUVs that are part of a major failure mode. They were replacing engines that were reliable before. The GX had a beautiful 4.6, 4.7 V8. The LX had a beautiful 5.7 V8. They were bulletproof. That's gone. So unfortunately, they've gotten rid of some great reliable engines, and sadly, one of the most reliable models. Even though what they still have is largely reliable, people still love the drive. They're still a safe model to buy, with predicted reliability still very, very high, with the owner satisfaction still very, very high, and the overall driving satisfaction from the driver's seat is still ranked at 80. Means people are generally love and satisfied with Lexus. It's unfortunate though because they've had so many of these recalls. As a result, Lexus has now ranked at 75 again, 3 below where they were previous. The next one in line is Toyota. Of course, you'd have to expect a lot of the products share the same drivetrains, the same chassis. The RAV4 is the same as the Lexus NX, but unfortunately, they're slightly less polished than you get in Lexus. Therefore, the driving experience is slightly less. According to CR, they're getting about a 77 on the overall driving experience versus Lexus's 80. But, Toyota, again, they've gotten rid of some of their reliable drivetrains. Now they have the Tundra with that unfortunate V35A, which is the same as we mentioned with Lexus Land, something that is less reliable than the outgoing 5.7. The 5.7 V8 was bulletproof. This new V6 is not. And unfortunately, Toyota, even though they've got some great models out there, they've had some problems, some teething issues. That new 8-speed on, of course, the new Tacoma. Even the 6-speed manual. They've had issues with the hubs and hardware not necessarily holding up. Remember some of the wastegate on the turbos on some of the earlier engines of their trucks? Backup cameras. Fog in the reverse lights in their Tundras, navigation screens blanking out. There have been no shortage of issues. Now, I don't want to pick on Toyota. I think it's just because it's the big giant. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And unfortunately, as a result, Toyota matches up Lexus. The overall customer satisfaction rating, according to CR, is 75. Thanks so much for all the new members supporting the channel. If you want your own emoji, priority questions, and sneak peek of a new video, or you just want to support the channel, be sure to hit down there, hit that link. That's going to do all the work for you. Thanks again so much, everybody. Now the next one. Yes. You'd probably guess right. It's Honda. Honda, a little bit more entertaining to drive. Where you give up a little on durability, you certainly gain on the driving experience because Honda's drive, the seat of the pants, you get behind the wheel, start pulling gears. They still have some cars with a manual gearbox. And we know manual transmissions are the way to go for the maximum fun and furious driving experience. They rank at an 83. They generally feel a little sportier than Toyota. As well, on top of it, the expected reliability is very, very good for Hondas. Sure, they've had some problems with their 1.5 liter turbo 4s and the oil and fuel problems. They've had some programming issues, and that latest recall for some of those potential 18-inch wheels falling off on some of their Honda Civics. Honda isn't perfect either. But with that said, the overall customer satisfaction for Hondas is very, very good. As a result, Honda moves up a slot, and they outdo both Toyota and Lexus with a 76 rating. Now here's one that you probably never thought you'd see in the top 5. We're talking about Porsche. Yes, indeed. When you're talking 911s and Boxsters, there's no shortage of social media presence with Porsches. They own the territory. They're the best driving experiences. They handle like they're on rails. You can still get manuals. The PDKs are some of the fastest shipping dual clutch gearboxes. Have you seen the way they're put together? The average Porsche is like a fine Swiss watch. They're built with such integrity and quality that it makes you wonder how any other manufacturer can even compete with a Porsche. They are expensive to maintain. They will empty your bank account when stuff starts to go wrong, but they are sure durable and they're fun as F to drive around. Most customers are saying they rank around an 83 based on overall customer satisfaction. Predicted reliability has been quite good for the late model versions, and the overall blended average is very good. Most customers just love their Porsche and they really wouldn't trade it off for much else. Certain engines, you got to expect some oil leaks, cam housing leaks. You've got to think about when you buy the base engine of anything, like a Macan base model, you're going to have a few issues with a few miles under the belt. It's going to cost maintenance dollars to keep up, and that's one of the downfalls for Porsche. But the 2026 Consumer Reports rating for Porsche this year is now rated at a 79 overall. Now the next one in line, BMW's number 2 slot. And BMW is definitely the ultimate driving machine. Little claps, shall we? They've come a long way. ways. They struggled and they took the abuse. And still, they're not a cheap car to maintain by any stretch of the imagination. Vehicles with the 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8s, vehicles, of course, with any turbocharged engine is going to require higher levels of maintenance and servicing. They have complex technology, dual-clutch gearboxes, expensive drivetrains, and some of their vehicles have air ride suspension, all kinds of tech that means that there's a high probability and possibility for failure. That's why they get just a barely an average of predicted reliability based on this ratings. Boy, are they fun to drive. And they've made massive strides and improvements on vehicles that contain the B48, the B58 engines. You know, the 3 Series, 4 Series, 2 Series cars, sort of the smaller to mid-size ranges, even the X5 carry some of their best engines. That's right. You can get that inline turbocharged 6 is one of their legendary engines called the B58. Those are almost bulletproof. Now, they're not flawless. They do come with their share of issues. You can expect some gasket leaks, oil filter housing leaks. You can expect some coolant leaks, water pump problems. Even though they're mechanical now, they still have their potential issues. Of course, they have heat encapsulation. Yes, they resist some of the high and low swings and temps, and their plastics hold up a little better under the hood, but they're still not perfect. The ZF 8-speed auto is definitely a bulletproof unit. And from the driver's seat, people love these cars. I've always loved them, and why do you think they're such an enthusiast vehicle? Because they drive so damn well. And the BMWs rate overall from the driver's seat perspective an 89. The overall satisfaction level from customers are very, very high. Most people just love their BMWs. And as a result, this is number 2 slot, ranked at an 82 score on Consumer Reports Customer Satisfaction Survey. And the first slot rounding up the list is a Subaru with an 82 ranking for the drivability. Predicted reliability is very, very good, as is the overall customer satisfaction. Most people love their Subarus. So that's our top 10 list. But how did we get to this BMW being higher than some of the products that we're getting from Lexus and Toyota? Lexus now has a few problematic vehicles with that V35A. BMW has had some improvements, but not just from reliability on the B48, B58, because their average reliability dictates that they're still not necessarily more reliable than Lexus, but when you talk about the fun factor, there's certainly a lot better vehicle that's more rewarding to own. You look back, you take that second look, third look, you're excited about that BMW. You'll get excited about driving the vehicle. You will take it in. It will cost you $250 an hour shop rate, possibly in some jurisdictions, $3,500 for a timing chain. It will cost you a lot of money, but when you drive it, all of those fears go away. And that's why people just love these vehicles, and owner satisfaction is very high for BMW. Lexus, people are less passionate. People look at a Lexus or a Toyota more as an appliance. They're reliable, they're beautiful, they're great. Sadly, they're a little... That's what we're talking about here. It's not reliability, it's customer satisfaction. With all of that said, if you're looking for some of the most reliable Lexus vehicles, I'll share that with you. How about the most reliable BMW vehicles right there? You're going to love those. Hope to see each and every one here real soon, everybody. Catch you then. Bye-bye.